Back to interpreting the scares. That's right, we're back at it on our month-long journey through the nightmares with yet another horror film. And this time we're heading into space for kind of a science fiction, action, adventure, mystery horror. And unlike the other films that I've covered this month so far, this one you might have heard about before. It's a little film called Pandorum. Pandorum is ultimately a science fiction horror film about a group of people that wake up on a spaceship, and because they're all suffering from prolonged hypersleep, they have temporary amnesia. So they don't know what's going on, who they are, what the mission is, or what's going on throughout the ship, which seems to be having some kind of system failure. Could be a really bad thing, especially because they might not be alone. So like I said, out of everything that I've reviewed this month so far, this one you might have heard about before. I specifically remember seeing teaser trailers for it, and ever since it came out, I have seen some posters, but I couldn't tell you what it was about. It turns out, the blinder you are when you go into this film, the better. This entire thing is deeply shrouded in mystery, including for the main characters who are suffering through amnesia. Throughout the movie, they all have to kind of work together to kind of figure out what's going on. And the more you watch it, the crazier it kind of becomes. Again, the blinder that you go in, the better, so I'll stray away from talking about it any further in terms of plot. It's definitely more on the science fiction and mystery side of all the different genres that are attached to the film, but the horror aspect is definitely there, and it is strong. Unfortunately, that's part of the movie that I can't really discuss much more on, because that's kind of one of the many reveals that happen throughout the film that are best to experience firsthand. But the production design, the visuals in general are solid. I think it's pretty easy to watch the film and immediately believe that these people are indeed in deep space and not on some kind of Hollywood soundstage, especially because there's moments of the film that get pretty grimy, they get dirty, they get bloody at times, and so it becomes really believable. This is a ship that's hard to navigate in certain areas, so you'll feel that confinement and the claustrophobia, and because there's so much mystery at the heart of the film, you might end up feeling a little bit uncomfortable too, since nothing is straightforward, as you might typically find with films like this. So prepare to be on the edge of your seat the entire film. You might also get the feeling that everybody is doomed, even if they succeed their current mission, because there's a lot of moving parts piling on top of each other in the film, making sure that the audience is never fully comfortable. And I love that about this film. That's how suspense should indeed work in any given horror film, and that was incredibly effective here. The performances were all pretty strong. I just wish that Dennis Quaid had more of a physical or active role. He essentially played the guy at the computer the whole time, when all the lesser known, lesser talented actors were at the forefront. It's a similar complaint that I had with the Will Smith film, After Earth, where his son was at the foreground while Will was the computer guy. Same thing here. And in both scenarios, I do understand why that was, and at the end of the day, Dennis Quaid still did a pretty great job with what he was given. Honestly, I wish I could really just dive in and talk about the plot and spoil everything, because there's more to discuss with this film. There's so many layers, so many reveals, so many meanings behind things, including the definition of the title itself, Pandorum, and how it relates to the film. I can't even talk about that. So I guess that just means that this review is going to be a little bit shorter than I would have liked. That being said, I definitely recommend you check out the film if you are a fan of sci-fi movies, especially sci-fi films that are also action-oriented with heavy mysteries at the heart of it and a love for horror. Let's go ahead and break down my final score for a second. This is going to be one of those situations where my unbiased score completely agrees with my bias, because it was technically made as well as it was received. Lots of thought put into making the ship look like a ship, and not just a ship, but a unique layout of a ship that doesn't just look like every other spaceship in films. The performances were great, the mystery was constantly strong, the action was executed with precision. I have very little complaints here. The only thing that I might say is that the horror wasn't really scary per se. There wasn't a ton of frightening imagery, but more along the lines of frightening ideas and concepts. But it's probably technically the least scary movie that I've seen all month. Doesn't make it a bad movie. Just means I don't necessarily consider it fully horror. So both my bias and unbiased score are found at 82%, meaning at the end of the day, when combined, we obviously run into what? A final score of 82%, or a letter grade of B+. Again, we have another score that is higher than everything else that I've reviewed this month. Should be interesting because I have quite a ways to go for the rest of the month. Guys, have you seen Pandorum? If so, let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and hit the bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.